but we are going to kick things off with Demon Hunter. And do either of you particularly want to take Demon Hunter and read the cards, or do you want me to kick things off?
Yeah, I don't mind. I'll go ahead and do it. All right, so the first card we've got here for the Demon Hunter is Wings of Hate, the ranked card. Summon 2/1/1 Fell Wings for 1 mana. Upgrades when you have 5 mana. So rank 2 summons 3, rank 3 summons 4. This could be pretty decent in some token strategies. I know they've been kind of moving that direction with some of the stuff that they've released for Demon Hunter in the past. I think it could possibly have a place in making that deck stand out a little more, but I think it still needs some more support. I don't think this is quite going to do it.
I think this card has a nice slot in the aggro Demon Hunter deck that's gaining some traction on ladder, popularized by Donkey. It definitely likes to go wide on board. It runs a Drekthar package. Obviously, this card wouldn't obviously get pulled by it, but having it to give you a decent early game, even if you just want to summon 2/1/1s on turn 1, like, I mean, that's pretty much what Wolpertinger is. The only difference, like, there's no real difference on turn 1 with it. I think this card's will be some nice support. I don't know if it'll be strong key support, but I think it'll definitely be some support for that deck.
Now, this one is really interesting because it's cheap, right? And you're putting out multiple things. It does get better. It's the rank spell, so it seems pretty good. I'm not sure right now how it's gonna fit in, because the big thing for me is that those Fell Wings don't have rush. And I think for a lot of the tokeny Fell DH, or not even necessarily Fell DH, which I think it mostly is right now, they really rely on having the rush. So I think for me, it's like that's kind of a downside. But I also think there's probably going to be some aggro style decks in the future. And like we have a rotation coming up pretty soon as well. So I'm giving it a 2 for Fringe right now, but I think the cost is pretty great. And I think it will see play at some point.
I think it's going to lend a little bit of support to Odd Hunter, or Odd Demon Hunter in Wild as well.
Ooh.
Getting some of these minions out and making your Urzuls cheaper, the big giants. I think that'll be really helpful for the deck.
Yeah, agreed.
2 mana, Keen Reflex. Deal 1 damage to all minions. Honorable kill, gain +1 attack this turn. So if I'm reading this correctly, you're going to gain 1 attack for every minion that you honorably kill. So this could get kind of nutty if there's a lot of wide board strategies with small minions. Especially if you have a lifesteal weapon equipped, you need to gain all that life back. I think this one's probably a 2. I don't think it's going to see a lot of play to start. I don't know how prevalent those wide board strategies are going to be.
The one thing I like about this card is the fact that it can synergize with Magtheridin in Fell DH. I don't know. I don't think that it would necessarily fit into the deck, but there are kind of those last couple of slots that are like either taken up by Chaos Leeches or by Rustro Viper, depending on the meta. I don't know. It could potentially see a spot in that type of deck just to help clear off just to kind of help clear things off in that way. It's another card to help with that. But I don't know if that deck necessarily needs it. So I think I agree more with you. I think that I think it's going to be could definitely find some fringe cases, but who knows? It might just need a little bit of time to find a home.
Yeah, I'm giving this a 3. I think it's actually okay. I'm not really sure if it's going to be fringe or not. Yeah, I do agree. I think if there's not boards that are wide, this is not going to feel as good. Because obviously you want to be gaining that attack. But I still think just as removal, it's pretty decent. And it's cheap enough. You should be able to pair it pretty easily with spell damage and increase the... It could be 3 mana if you have like a 1 cost spell damage, right? You're paying 3 for a deal 2 to everything with the potential upside. So I do think that there is potential for this, and I'd have to look and see, but this might be one that gets slotted in again after rotation as well. I feel like a lot of these cards are probably not great now, but are going to get better as soon as rotation hits and we have less cards again.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of par for the course when it comes to the mini sets. They do have a little bit of an impact and a little bit of a shakeup for the meta, but they don't typically have a huge influence
Yeah.
on where the meta goes
Yeah.
as far as new decks and stuff like that.
I think especially at this point in the rotation cycle where we're already at this 6 set plus all the mini sets, so we have the most amount of cards that we will in standard. I mean, it's obviously even more in wild, but for standard, it's like there's already kind of your set decks, like you said. So these aren't making as much of an impact. But once some decks lose other resources, these probably will have more of an impact.
Yeah, and as I was just saying, cards that may not have a big influence. I was just reading this next one, so we can go ahead and move on to that one.
Okay.
I think this one may have a pretty good influence. It's the Razorglaive Sentinel, 4 mana 5/4. After you play the left or rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. So Stargaze Luna says hello, and I think this card's going to be nutty. I think I'm giving this one a 4. It's gonna if we play this in a quest shell with cards like Lion Frenzy and trying to cycle through your deck, I think it could get toxic.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time envisioning this outside of it being cost changed by Kurtrus or other cards being cost changed by post quest reward. I think in an aggro shell, I think it costs. I guess Altruist costed this much, and Altruist was super nutty as well. And I think that more draw for Demon Hunter. I like that at least they put some stipulation on it, but it's still like this is a strong card. This might be the one that absolutely sticks out and becomes the standout for the mini set when it's all said and done. I am scared. I can see this card being scary, just like Bitbeaker said.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 4 right now because I do think it's solid. I think it could probably slot into some decks now, but we lose Skull, right? When rotation happens as well. So I could definitely see this being slotted in as a draw mechanic. And it's not as much of a stipulation as having Outcast itself, which I think is fantastic because that is one difficulty with things like Skull is that you have to have Skull specifically outcasted to get the benefit, where this is a pretty good statted card. And as long as you're just playing the left or right card, you get another draw. So it's like, it seems fantastic all around. I love this one.
I can't wait to play this one. I think it's going to be great.
All right. So moving into Druid, we have our first card, which is Boomkin. 5 mana, 4 attack, 5 health. Choose one. Restore 8 health to your hero or deal 4 damage. Oh, I love this card. I love the flavor of this card. I've played Boomkin in World of Warcraft. This is lovely. This whole balance aspect of a Moonkin. One of these options is literally a better statted Antique Healbot, which is restore 8 health to your hero, or dealing 4 damage, which, I mean, I feel like more times than not, we're going to be picking restore health over deal damage, but, I mean, if it slots into a more aggressive deck, this could just be, 5 mana clear a minion, potentially, or help clear a minion. I think this card's fantastic. It's definitely a nice support card, and I tend to lean with what Dragon Rider is going to end up rating it.
Yeah. So did I rate it? I gave it a 3, which is it's strong. I think it's a key support, and there's so many good things that I like about this. It's maybe not the greatest stats for the cost, but I think it's still actually decently statted for the also benefit of 8 heal or 4 damage, which you can put wherever you want, right? You can 4 damage to a minion or 4 damage to your opponent's face, which I'm sure there's going to be some crazy like combos. And if we ever see a like repeat your choose one effects card, this is going to just be nutty with that. But in combination with other cards that we're going to talk about here in a second, you could potentially be getting both effects as well. So it's just, I love this card. It's not quite as strong. Like I like the Sentinel that we just talked about for Demon Hunter more, but I think this is a really solid card, and it's most likely going to be put into some Druid decks.
I am not sold on this card. I don't see where it would fit in the meta. You gain so much armor in Druid already that the 8 health is kind of pointless, and you typically don't need to deal 4 damage with all the rush minions that you're able to throw down and all the taunts. I gave this one a 1. There might be some cute things you can do with it later on down the line, but right now, I don't think it's worth playing even a little bit.
I think that's totally fair. Like, it's so hard because we're at that weird point in the year where a lot of these cards are going to feel pretty meh right now, but then they might be so good after rotation. It's like, we don't know. So, yeah. I agree, though. I think right now it's probably not very good.
Well, I mean, when we get back down to a 3-set meta, it might be all right.
Yeah.
But as of right now, it doesn't do enough.
All really good points. So let's move on to our next card. We've got Raid Negotiator. 4 mana, 3 attack, 4 health. Got a battle cry. Discover a choose 1 card, and this card has both effects combined. So Dragon Rider alluded to this. It's got so you could discover boomkins, choose 1, and you would be able to heal for 8 and deal 4 damage. It would be for 4 mana instead, so a little cheaper, slightly lower, slightly smaller body. But there are some seriously good effects you could get with this. And I don't think the choose 1 pool is that big in standard, is it? Like, I don't know. There's probably some choose 1s that I'm forgetting about. There's captured. There's like Cold Tooth Mine. There's Nourish. I think Crystal Power is still in standard. I might be wrong about that one, but there's some good choose 1s. So I think this card will be able to slot in some capacity in a deck right now. No, it might not be the strongest card in a deck, but I think it'll see some decent play.
Yeah, this is another one. I'm also giving this a 3. I don't know. I just like the choose 1 stuff. But one thing that I really like about this card is that it's discover a choose 1 card and not specifically a choose 1 spell. So you do have a little bit more flexibility with using this card like with your deck building, which I think some of the other choose 1, like the just a spell, for example, is a little bit harder to use, or you do have to be a little bit more picky with it. But this makes me wonder if there's going to be more choose 1 minions in the future as well. I mean, obviously we're getting this Boomkin as well. But again, this probably is going to be one that we're not going to see now. But I would love to see a whole like choose 1 based deck in the future. So I'm hoping that like after rotation we can actually do that, because I do think in the last set or 2 we've gotten some really cool choose 1 cards, and we just haven't seen a lot of them see play.
Now, if you drop this on 4 and you manage to discover a Boomkin, that's probably pretty cool. But the fact that you have to discover the card and it's not something you get to draw from your deck, I think kind of brings the power level down a little bit. I'm giving this one a 2. I feel like they kind of really missed the ball as far as the drawing. It might have been a little bit too strong, though, if you could draw. But I don't think the Discover effect is going to be strong enough to really hit what you want to hit, at least until we get back down to that 3-set meta.
You're totally right. I miss that it's just Discover and not discover one from your deck, which would be so much better. You're right. Okay, maybe I should change my rating to a 2. Reading.
I can totally imagine this coming down on 3. You get Nourish, you draw 3, you gain 2 mana crystals. Like, I mean, obviously, I think that's probably the best roll I would guess it's probably, for what Druid wants to do, that's probably the best roll you can get. Unless you're in an aggressive matchup, and then you really want something like Boomkin to deal damage somewhere. That might end up being a random deal for. But healing yourself for 8 there would be good. I think the flexibility of this card makes me think it'll have some use. Scale of Onyxia, 7 mana spell. Fill your board with 2/1 whelps with rush. I have been thinking about this card as we've been going through the other cards and trying to figure out where this kind of slots in Druid.
I mean, it doesn't, right?
It right now because like if a 7, you don't necessarily want a 7 mana spell in like aggro Druid or beast Druid. The reason being is that Scale of Onyxia could clog up your Cold Tooth pool, unless you're gonna cut that, unless you kind of cutting that card and you just pull off your bigger costing beast with Living Seed over it. But it's a good card. We've had cards similar to this in the past, that summon large amounts of minions. This one at least has Rush, so I wonder if post rotation this will have a good home. But there's no card like Urzul Giant for this to feed. So I don't think it's gonna see a whole lot of play right now. Optimistic for the future because at least it fills your board with the rushers. But it's a decently high mana cost for right now. Because if you're probably running higher cost cards, they're either beasts or they're like Abominable Lieutenant type of cards.
I admire your optimism.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've seen so much hype for this, or at least people saying that they think this is the best of the 3 Druid cards, which maybe it is. But again, this one right now, I don't see it. Maybe again after rotation, maybe there's going to be something that's easier to work with this or something. I don't know. I just don't know where it fits right now, and that's where I'm struggling. But I do think just looking at the card itself in a vacuum, this card seems great. I just don't know where we're fitting it in to the mix of other cards and the deck archetypes yet.
I mean, there's so many things you'd rather be doing with 7 mana. It's not even that great if you're behind. It's not good if you're ahead. I don't see a use for this card that makes me want to put it in any kind of deck.
I think for slow Druid decks, I think this can be a pretty solid Discover card off of Nature Studies, especially against decks that go pretty wide, because at least it'll cost less mana when you play it, costing 6, and because this deck Druid can already ramp as is, it could be something like that. But I don't see it being put in your 30 is what I would say right now.
No, I don't think you ever put it in your deck.
No,
if there's a situation where you want to
that's exactly my
sure,
point.
Yeah, but
I think it's a good situational card, but it's not going to be running your 30.
I guess it's just Discover fodder.
It's pretty cool. I mean, at least it's not terrible, like in that type of scenario. If it was bad even there, then it would just be actually just filler for the expansion, for the mini set. But yeah.
I'm probably not going to be happy seeing somebody like a Mage or somebody else like discover this and be able to play it. I'm not going to be happy about that, I'm sure, but because either that means they're going to clear my board and I'll be behind, or they've been slow and then they generate a board and I have no answer for it. And I don't like those situations. But hopefully this does not happen.
Well, there's not a lot of spells that you can discover at 7, right? So you're probably almost guaranteed to hit this if you're looking for it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, there's
I mean,
I don't know,
because a lot of the 7 mana spells in Druid got turned into 8 mana spells. So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
So our first Hunter card is Dragonbane Shot. It's a 2 mana spell. Deal 2 damage. Honorable kill. Add a Dragonbane Shot to your hand. I love this one. I gave this a 3. I think right now the place I see it being slotted in pretty easily is Quest Hunter. That makes the most sense, right? It's a damage spell, which works towards your quest. You could potentially get another copy, which just keeps that going. Which seems great. You can send it to face if you need to. So, like, this is just like a Quest Hunter dream card. It's pretty cheap. It fills that easily. But I also think this could see play in other hunters in the future. Like, again, after rotation, this still could be a somewhat of a staple for hunter, just if they need to be doing damage or something. So I like it a lot.
Hello, Ron.
How's it going?
Hello.
Good. It's doing well.
Welcome to the party.
You've joined in for your favorite class.
Heyo.
We're currently on Dragonbane Shot.
Some Quest Hunter spice.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, this looks pretty good for Quest Hunter. Even maybe some kind of Secret Hunter with Tavish, where you just want to control the board and then do something later in the game. As long as 2 damage is a good breakpoint for minions, then I think it'll be pretty good.
On its surface, this isn't like thrilling, It's kind of slow, but it can go face. That's pretty important for when we need to kill him eventually. That 2 damage could get us over the top. But also just like more damage spells and ways to get additional damage spells to progress quest for the hunter quest deck, especially when you consider that Quest Hunter already ran Thalnos, right? So
Yes.
there's ways that we can get this bumped up, and 3 damage breakpoints are really big. So like the Thalnos combo, the only problem is you're gonna not have enough mana to do something impactful enough. But I think it's a useful card that can have a home in especially Quest Hunter. Other hunter decks, they probably don't really want to run it all that much.
Agreed. Yeah. I definitely see this as a Quest Hunter card. And
Also, where are my spell schools?
Yeah,
Right.
Come on,
I
man.
was looking at the cards even in Demon Hunters and like stuff where there's actual spell school, actual spell school type of synergies, and there's just not there right now so far.
Yeah, but if I had to give this a rating, I don't know. Can I split the rating? Like 2 for non-Quest Hunter, 4 for Quest Hunter.
Yeah,
Love
I think
it.
that's what it is.
I mean, you could just call it a 3, right?
Mhm.
It's fine.
Yeah,
That's where I settled on.
yeah. I'd settle there too.
Oh yeah, Sid makes a good point. We've got Wound Prey that also helps kind of get us in range for honorable kill things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true, because with Wound Prey you can go up as far as a 4 health minion.
And when it comes to like post quest, we're not quite as worried about the mana, because I don't really want to be spending 4 mana to kill 2 health things like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel great.
Yeah.
But when it's post quest and I'm using this to just refresh a machine gun, yeah, I like that. Man, talk about timing. I was
Yeah.
rushing home too. I was like, oh, please let me make it for Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Dead right on time.
Hey.
Okay, our next hunter card is Furious Howl, another 2 mana spell. Draw a card, repeat until you have at least 3 cards. So I'm actually only giving this a 2, and I don't even think it's going to be really played right now. Maybe you could play it in Quest Hunter again, but I think there's actually a decent amount of draw in both Quest Hunter and Face Hunter right now. The until you have at least 3 cards thing is the big thing for me. I think where we see this is in a really aggressive hunter, where we kind of saw, oh gosh, now I don't remember the name of it. The cute little 1/3, the librarian.
What? Voracious Reader?
Voracious Reader,
Oh,
yeah, not librarian. Yeah. I'm like books, something, I don't know. Yes, Voracious Reader. Like that type of low curve that needs draw is where I see this potentially going. But honestly, like right now, I think the options that Hunter already has, and especially in like Face Hunter, is just better.
Yeah, that's an excellent point.
I think this might go in like a really low curve Quest Hunter, where you're just playing all your cards and then you're just going to machine gun them down and play Furious Howl and refill your hand and then just play more cards and kill them.
Does Face Hunter really have that much draw?
I'm pretty conflicted on this card because the amount of times that Quick Shot is awkward in Face Hunter, where you want to use it for value, is kind of iffy. Like we don't want to be cutting rhinos and the 3/4s that draw us buffed rhinos anytime soon.
Yeah.
And those cards are on the more expensive side, and B, at least in the case of the, why can't I remember the name of the 4-mana 3/4?
Wrangler.
Wrangler.
Yeah,
That's
Wrangler.
it. In the case of Wrangler, it actively has negative synergy with Furious Howl.
Mhm.
Like it's too hard to put these two in the same deck and have it work in a good hand unless you kind of have a nuts curve where you just kind of play out everything right on curve, and then as soon as you're out of gas, play Furious Howl, and it's the nuts. But the amount of times that happens compared to the amount of times it interferes with things like not drawing a damage card off of Kodobane because you have to put this in your deck and then you miss the quick shot or something, or just in general your hand is already like clunky enough. Face Hunter, like this card looks like it should go into Face Hunter, right? But it doesn't actually work in like current Face Hunter, yeah. Though, like what Sidisi's saying in chat too. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of stuff rotating, and this could be a key, like massively important, incredibly good card in Hunter decks in the future. But for right now, in the current set, in the current meta, it's probably I don't think I can rate it lower than a 3 because card draw in my card game is what I want. You know,
Fair.
but like it needs a totally different deck than the deck that you might think it goes into on its surface. I don't think current Face Hunter works with this at all, but like what Bitbeaker's saying too, like really low curve Quest Hunter, just super low curve mega face damage. What do we run? 14 1-drops in current Face Hunter? No. Let's run 22 of them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go crazy aggro, all right? And then Furious Howl maybe is good. Are we cute Hunter now? We start jamming some 0 drops plus the 3/3, the War Master guy who gets discounted when you play a bunch of cards of one turn. Like, I don't know. I don't see a deck that this is great in yet.
Isn't there like a frenzy minion that buffs all your stuff? It's too expensive, probably. I don't remember what it's called.
Oh, don't feed the animals.
Yeah, I mean, there's some forgotten cards that are hanging out. There's some 3-mana 1/6 that buffs your beast when it attacks too.
Oh, Stormwind Piper has no rush. Sad.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure that card will just remain garbage. Furious Howl, though, I'm intrigued. I think Furious Howl will be good later.
I agree.
Possibly really good.
Yeah. The more I look at Face Hunter, the more I see the draw. I just haven't played the deck recently. So
and I mean, we're losing Rhino too. So
are we really losing Rhino?
So that's gonna be huge.
Yeah,
because Face Hunter builds.
You can't.
It's gonna be a completely different deck.
Yeah, like you can't cut Rhino because it's too good. But it's also
we are losing
like
Rhino.
The top end of your curve. So now when you lose the top end of the curve that you need to have,
that probably
you can replace it.
That probably means you cut Wrangler, you cut Rhinos.
Because I mean, if you're not playing Rhino, then why play Wrangler?
Agreed. Yeah. No. I think that it opens the type of deck up that you can play for sure. Or I think rifle is also going too.
But I like that we're going in the Quest Hunter direction with this mini set rather than Face Hunter stuff. This looks definitely more like Quest Hunter support, and I like it.
Yeah, and it's even cost for us wild players.
Yay!
So we don't
Furious
have to worry
Howl,
about dealing with the odd hunters.
I don't think Furious Howl slots into even hunter, but gosh, that deck can just run out of cards in a heartbeat.
I mean, it'd just be real scary if this was a 1-mana card. Oh my god!
No,
that would
even at 3, I don't think I'd want to see it at 3 either.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Reader is 3, but Reader
3 would be sad.
Reader costs 3.
Yeah, but 3 enables Odd Hunter and Wild.
Touche.
Yeah, no, I agree.
At Collector, a 5-mana 3/5 Battlecry. Summon a beast from your deck that costs 5 or less. I'm giving it a 2. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think right now, the one that comes to mind is the 4-mana Ram that discounts something in your hand when it dies. But I'm not really sure what else I'd want at the moment. This one might be one that gets a lot better after rotation or with other things that come in the future, but I'm just not sure what now. I guess Rhino would be the other one.
Yeah.
But like, do I want to be playing this? I don't know.
Like that's 50-50 to summon a Rhino or a Wolper in phase.
Well,
yeah.
Well, you're making a different. It's a separate
not.
deck.
Yeah,
It's a separate
yeah.
deck. I know that. I know that.
As well.
I immediately know that I messed up when I said that, but
Yeah, this pulling Wolpertinger would be perfect.
it'd be
Oh my
terrible.
god. The nuts.
Glorious and terrible. I mean, I guess this can. I mean, gosh, Vandar on 4, this on 5, and Big Beast Hunter. That'd be kind of interesting. But I don't think that. I think that deck is very has obviously just some very specific good matchups, and that's what the decks play for. It's not prevalent. I don't know. I don't see this card seeing play right now, and I don't even know unless they really start. Unless they give like a lot more good 5-cost beasts. Or like some, because when you're saying 5 or less, like we're generally looking at 4 or 5 costers that are good, that are solid, and maybe there's a build in like I think Dragon Rider could be onto something with figuring out a build that runs something like Stormpike Ram or something, maybe a Rhino we build. That'd be kind of interesting, but I don't think it's going to see a whole lot of play right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important. Well, before I talk about this card, let me talk about the art on this card.
It's
because
amazing.
I rate the art on this card a 6. It is incredible. I love it. I want this card in golden. I want shiny animated adorable creatures. But
I want shiny animated adorable creatures in my house.
True. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be a little concerned if they were shiny. I don't know. Be worried about them. Like, you eating okay, buds? But honestly, the card itself, it costs way too much. I got to give this a 1. It is bad. It is really bad. Like, we are getting wrecked in most games by turn 5 or by turn 4 with coin in the kind of deck that needs to run multiple 5-mana beasts in order to get the payoff from this. And last I checked, that border around this card is green, not brown, which means we can't ramp into it. So we're screwed. It's awful. Don't put it in your deck.
Yeah, it's hard for me to envision a world where this card is good, because there's probably going to be a good number of beasts that you want to run that are below 5, probably coming up in the new meta, if you're not running Face Hunter. And a lot of the good beasts are also more than 5. So, like, what do you want to pull with this?
But like, maybe you could run a Vandar deck with this and with some real expensive beasts, and or just some really, really good 5-mana beasts if there were some out there. It's possible that this card could wind up being good, but short of a Hunter getting some kind of dual class Hunter Druid card that gives Hunter extra ramp or mana cheat in some way, we're not playing a 5-mana 3/3 to summon a random thing that we basically had to design our whole deck around to, remove the randomness from it. It's it's real ugly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We're not winning games with this card.
All right.
We're getting some YouTube clips with this card though.
Yeah.
Right.
Vandar on 4, this on 5 into Mountain Bear. Into
fast forward 3 turns into concede.
Well, no, your opponent concedes there. No, then you play Tavish on 6, and you get the whatever it's called, Pack Tactics.
What magical Christmas land are you living in?
I'm looking at the high roll. That's what I'm doing.
That is quite a high roll.
That is quite a high roll, but it's gonna happen to somebody. Anyways, yeah, interesting Hunter cards, and like Ron said, I do kind of like that things tend to lean more quest Hunter than Face Hunter with them.
Mad props on the art though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great art.
Let's get the first one up on the board. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. Hala. Holla, holla.
Holla.
Oh yeah, that's what we're going.
Mage-
Holla. Yep, that's what we're doing.
Matron Protectorate. This looks like an amazing pull from Cenarian Ward. Oh my god. Oh wait, we're talking about Mage, right? I don't know. Mage, Mage might not do a whole lot. with this card.
Yeah. This is not a Pheno 8.
I'm giving this a 2. I'd say it's pretty fringe. I don't know what else is coming, but to make this card good, what you either like have to jam it on the board and hope that it sticks, which there's a lot of hard removal stuff. It can just get completely demolished before it ever triggers anything, and then you spent a whole lot of mana doing nothing and losing the game. Or I don't know, you have a massive setup for it where like you play double biscuit early before you play this card, and then you slam this card down, and maybe you held coin all game, so turn 8, with all your other cards that you were playing to try to survive and stall. Suddenly you play this, and then you play biscuit, and then you play biscuit again, and then you play coin, and then you start throwing some damage at their face, and that's pretty impressive. All of a sudden, especially on an empty board, you might have been able to clear the board in advance. You're sending a ton of damage just straight face or clearing a board. But the amount of conditional setup things that you need and the amount of mana you have to spend for this card makes it just really unlikely that it's going to be competitive. So it's a cool looking card. I'm terrified of this coming off of Druid 8 drops. I think that is going to be literally its most common play, and people will be cursing its existence. Oh my god, this Druid high rolled me with Hala again. But yeah, as far as an actual Mage card, just I don't know. Unless I see some dragon discounts or some other stuff that really supports this, I don't think it's good enough.
So here's the thing. Like, we have Siphon mana. We currently have Biscuit, but we're going to lose Biscuit. We're going to have Flurry. We're going to have... I think there's another 0 mana card in there. With all the mana reduction that you can get from Siphon mana, and then the 0 mana cards if you want to run those in your deck, if you manage to drop this, then, I mean, you play all those other cards and you just clear the board or kill them instantly.
Oh, it's true. I did forget about Hot Streak as well.
Yeah, Hot Streak was the other one.
So that does kind of enable some things, like if you discount it in advance, even without doing the biscuit setup, like you could have a discounted hand and then drop this card and go in with discounted spells that cost 0, or things that cost 0 that discount things that don't cost 0, and then you're throwing a lot of stuff. But I mean, there's no way this sees play until after rotation at best, because Mizaki's still a thing.
Remember the good old days of 2 mana Sorcerer's Apprentice? You play that and you play Hala together on 10.
No.
I only liked Sorcerer's Apprentice for crazy Cyclone turns. That was
Cyclone,
fun.
yeah. Yeah, I actually liked Cyclone. I really liked Cyclone Mage back in the day. That brings me back to the good times, to some other good times in Hearthstone history. But yeah, I can't really say much more about it that you guys that you three have not already said. I'm terrified of this as an 8 drop off of Cenarian Ward. I didn't even think about that.
What about the authority on dragons? Dragon Rider herself. What do you think of this card?
I don't know. I think Mizaki just does this kind of effect better right now. And maybe if this were like a 6 or 7 cost dragon, fantastic, right? Even if the stats were a little bit less, you could pull off more things. But being at 8, yeah, it just feels like I don't know where this is going, at least not right now. I think right now people just, if you're wanting to do this effect, you just go Mizaki Mage. Yeah, maybe if you can generate this by like creating a dragon or something, cool. But I don't know if people are actually running this in the deck.
Oh God.
I know. I'd honestly rather see this at 9 to not be a druid buff. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it
Oh,
scares
that's
me.
right, priest. That's
seeing
right,
this
priest.
at 8.
Good. Draconic studies can't discover this. We're good. Good.
Oh yeah, if priest could discover this, that would be very troubling.
Gross.
But it's probably a good idea to mention that there's a very concerted effort, I think, with this mini set and going forward, that they are trying to again lower the power level, because rotation is coming soon, and we're not going to have just blowout crazy stuff
Right.
all the time. I think they're shifting more towards board focused battles, and this kind of card could be very good in future sets, especially if it gets some support. And I think they're designing towards that goal and not just like what can compete in the current meta, which is pretty insane.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there was a little thread from Cora on that on Twitter.
Yeah,
so
that's what I was referencing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cora had a great thread on that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, next one, Deep Breath. Deal 1 damage to a minion and its neighbors, improved by number of other spells in your hand. And it's a fire spell. Got those spell schools going on. The card itself, though, I'm not impressed. I'd call this also fringe. I almost traded this a 1 for bad. But, maybe there's some kind of heavy spell mage shell that can really crank this up to where it's a mega combustion for a little bit more. And combustion was decent and saw play, in multiple different mage decks in a different time. If you happen to have a massive amount of damage that you can do as a cleave effect on multiple minions, that could be good, but I just don't really see it. It's certainly garbage in the current meta, and going forward, I still don't see a way that it's all that impressive. So I'm going to put it at a 2. If it's just this meta we're talking about, it's easily a 1.
I think it's kind of an interesting card. It doesn't really fit in a big spell kind of shell, but if you have a bunch of smaller spells and you are continually drawing, you continually have a large hand size, and you need to remove a few minions, this is going to get the job done. If your end game is to discount your hand and play Hala, then this might help get you there.
It's so expensive, though.
Is it, though? If you have 8 cards in your hand, and 7 of them are spells, and you play this, it deals 18 damage, right? 6 to each of the minions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that still doesn't kill an 8/8. Like, yeah, 16 damage. 16 damage sounds impressive on its surface, but they probably don't have like 3 6 health minions on the board that you get the perfect target on. You can't even kill a giant with your 5 mana that you're spending, and then it smacks you in the face and you die. Like, I don't think this card is going to be very good at all.
I mean, in most instances, unless you're casting a bunch of small spells, you're not going to kill the giant anyway.
Well, just why would I ever slot this card in my deck when I can just freeze the giant instead? And I'm not saying we build our decks exclusively on the premise of what can I do to beat a giant, but we do need to keep that in mind when there are really strong other things in the format. And Deep Breath is just super unimpressive. Like, first, it means that you want to run as many spells as possible, and second, it means that you're competing against or you're trying to keep minion decks from hitting you, but it doesn't even do well against wide boards. Like, I have the 4 mana card, the tradable. So if it's not good, I trade it and draw a card. And if it is good, it's insane. And I do 3 mana to the entire board instead of this super conditional effect that requires me to have at least 3 other spells in my hand in order to do the same amount. Or I guess 2 other spells in my hand to do the same amount. for just 3 targets instead of multiple. So if someone has a wide board strategy, then like Deep Breath doesn't cut it. I don't know. I think it's pretty awful.
Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a great card. I mean, I did give it a 2, so there's that. I just think that it might have its uses at some point.
I wish it did. I wish it worked a bit like there was a card back in the day. I think it's also was considered a breath card, but it did a set amount and it just costed less for some condition. If it was deal,
Yeah, it was a deal 4.
That was a deal 4. Got discounted for minions that died. I think it was. But this case is like for this spells like it had a set amount and then it would cost less for spells in your hand. But I guess that would make it that could be a little scary if it does a lot of damage because you could probably easily get it to cost 0 in a mage deck. I think it's just a bit high costing because we have fire sale, kind of like Ron said. I don't know about it.
Yeah, I put it as a 3 originally, but it's probably a 2. I think in the future it might be a 3. Right now it's not great. The first place that comes to mind that I see this is like maybe some sort of big spell deck. Where you're playing cards that cost 5 or more, or it's recasting those or something. But the one thing I don't like about this is it just says a minion and its neighbors. So if you are putting it into like a big spell mage and you're trying to recast it, you've probably played a minion to try to get it out of your hand or replay it or something, which means this has the potential to just hit your own minion because it doesn't specifically say an enemy minion. So it makes me like it a lot less.
Your own stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't like it.
That'll show them. All right, now this one seems pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I'm giving this a 4, just because I know it's like not that great in the current meta. I wouldn't give it a 4 in the current set, just FYI, because it's too much. It's too expensive. But we like tradable cards.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's tradable means that it's a 1 mana draw 1 up until you need to use it. And we also happen to have in Mage a 7 mana card that lets us play this early. And that is I'm looking it up now because I keep forgetting names of cards. Clumsy Courier. And I love this card with Clumsy Courier. We could get that out as early as turn 6. We could coin a Clumsy Courier and it will play the Drakefire Amulet and boom, 2 dragons on the board. And we can discover things like Hala, and that's pretty insane when it's getting summoned alongside another dragon too. If there's any kind of control-y type mage deck that is looking for some late game bomb to take over and push the advantage to win, it's gonna really love this card. Right now, obviously, Mage has way better options. Like, you just wouldn't put this in basically any current Mage deck that exists, I think, and have a shot at being competitive. But I'm giving it an optimistic future rating of a 4. If we were talking current meta, I would give it a 2 because it's tradable. That's a 1 mana draw 1. Let's keep drawing. But yeah, it's solid.
So does this, if I'm reading this right, it gives you the discover prompt twice, right? So you could essentially discover 2 Halas.
Oh, I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
also,
if we play Courier,
we might not get to pick, but still.
Yeah, I wonder how that would work. Or if it still would give you the discover option or not, or if it would just pick it for you.
Yeah, I feel like it would just pick it for you. But it still would be good. Probably. I don't know. How many bad dragons do we have?
I mean, it could summon 2 Brightwings.
It depends on if Brightwing stays core. I mean, I assume it would.
Brutal.
Like, I assume that Brightwing would stay core, but
Yeah.
you know.
But this card is sweet. If nothing else, it's really cool, and I like it.
And it only costs 5 if you discount it with Celestial Ink Set.
True.
Oh wow.
Feels like a lot of setup though.
That could be a thing.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, this is
I'm not sold on
Cool
it.
card.
Yeah.
It's a cool card. I'm not 100% sold on it either, but hey, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And it's a fire spell, so technically you can do it 2 turns earlier with a hot streak.
Also true.
All right, so we've got Battle Vicar. 2 mana, 1/3, Battle Cry, discover a holy spell. So there's a lot of really good holy spells in Paladin right now. A lot of them are Librams,
Yes.
which are obviously going away. But man, I think this sounds really strong to me.
Yeah, it's a good card. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, you can play it in buff Paladin, you can play it in Libram Paladin. Aggressive strategies, it's good. It's probably even good in some defensive strategies if necessary. It seems like a pretty flexible card. I think overall I'd give this one a 3.
Yeah, that's where I have it too. I like this card. It seems solid. Probably not like the best, and depending on the kind of holy spells that are in, like maybe now it's a little better, maybe after rotation it might get a little worse unless there's some really strong holy spells. Maybe it gets even better because the holy spell pool isn't diluted. I'm not sure yet. I haven't looked at exactly like what holy spells are leaving other than the Librams, but it just seems solid, right? It's got decent stats. It's an early minion you can play, so if something rotates that draws you cards, well, you can play this instead and get something. So
man,
I like it.
$. I was gonna say I needed to check if Hand of a Doll was rotating. Because this card discovering you something like another Hand of a Doll would be so good. I think this card is definitely a card I would slot into my Paladin decks pretty much now.
Yeah, I agree. This is really good. I'm giving this a 4 also.
Yeah, and I think 2 mana 1/3, like there are still stuff that it's just a matter of looking through and seeing which cards are rotating, but I think because Holy is such a key part of Paladin, they're gonna make other holy spells. It depends on if they want to lean more in the way that they've been making them in the last 2 years, which is more buff based, or if they're gonna want to potentially roll more into some other form of some other things like defensive holy spells. But this card's really cool. I like the Discover. Discover is typically strong, especially because you obviously get to choose the best one. And then choose the best one for you on top of it. Yeah, I agree with Ron. I think this card's like a 4. It's going to see play now, and I think it sees play post rotation.
Solid.
Yeah, there's some really good holy spells that we'll be able to discover. Righteous Defense being one of them.
Yeah, definitely.
And then some of them are buff spells. And not even going back to the stuff that would rotate.
Yeah.
If we're just looking at the most recent 3 sets,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of really strong holy spells. A couple of them are secrets that you're probably not going to want to grab, but even if you do, your opponent doesn't know which one it's going to be. So they know that one of them is holy because you've got, let's see, there were 2 that were holy, I believe, that were secrets. Judgment of Justice and Conviction. No, Conviction's not a... No, so there's just one, I think, the Judgment of Justice. So they would know what it is.
What other Paladin cards we got?
I mean, there's there's other holy secrets that are just core.
Oh no, I mean mini-set cards. What other
mini-set
Paladin cards we got?
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move on.
The next one we've got is 2 mana tradable, Ring of Courage. Give a minion +1/+1. Repeat for each enemy minion.
Whew. That's crazy.
This is nuts. It's
this
tradable.
Is really good. The fact that if you're playing against a deck that's not a board-based strategy, you can just cycle it. And if you're playing against somebody that's got a wide board, you just make a big giant minion.
Who's ready to stick a single minion against a wide board and drop this with a Battle Master and win the game?
That's really all you have to do sometimes.
+7/+7 Wind Fury. Let's go.
Samuro.
Actually,
that's
really
really
disgusting to just play for 6 mana Samuro Ring of Courage. It's brutal.
That card would ruin Druid's existence against Paladin. I'd be so mad if I was the Druid. But
this looks
and
really
in
good.
a lot of instances, you're already playing Samuro with cards that buff
You
it.
are.
So you're probably already dropping a buffed Samuro.
Yeah,
and then you Ring of Courage on top of it. Their board's gone.
I might be overreacting, but I'm calling this a 5.
I gave it a 4, but
yeah,
I think it's somewhere between 4 and 5.
I think it's somewhere between there. I mean, I might be. I just think the tradable factors is what makes this just super strong because of its ability to just be cycled back in if you need to.
Yeah, it's never a dead card, and that's great.
Let me ask, is the repeat automatic, or do you have to replay the card?
I think
based on the text, it looks automatic.
Yeah. You don't have to replay the card.
Well, that completely changes then, because I originally rated this as a 1.
Yeah, I looked at your rating. I was like, why is she rating this?
Oh, yeah,
I thought you had to replay it.
This is garbage.
Yeah, I was like, why do I want to spend 2 mana every time? Like, that's terrible. Okay, yeah, that completely changes. This is fantastic. Yeah, this is a 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I was like, I'm like hearing you guys talk, and I'm like, why did I give this a 1?
Yeah, also, I was like wondering. I looked at your 1 and I was like,
yeah, okay.
Like, oh, I don't know. I was like, what's I want to hear Dragon Rider out on this. And then she's like, wait, so all at once we're like, this is like,
that's why, yeah.
Love it. All right.
I love the flavor on this card. It's so cool. Just it's everything about like Paladin's identity. Paladin used to be the class without an identity for a little while, but like this is awesome. Like kind of overcoming the odds, kind of courage in the face of almost certain disaster type of deal. Like that's really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
All right, the final Paladin card in the mini set, Stormwind Avenger, 3 mana, 1/5. Okay, that's decent stat line. After you cast a spell on this minion, it gains +2 attack. Okay, so Librams are going to buff the hell out of this thing, at least while we still have them.
Yeah.
And then if we're discovering holy spells that are buffs, playing them on the Stormwind Avenger, this thing could get out of control. And a 3 mana 1/5 is a stat line that's already been nerfed multiple times.
Yeah, strong card.
Yeah.
I'm giving this a 4. I was leaning possibly 5, but I don't want to overreact too much. It's still just a 1 attack minion, and it needs some conditions to be busted. But you can hit those conditions without too much trouble, and it's very hard to remove a 5 health minion that early in the game on turn 3 or turn 2, even if you coin it out. So imagine just like a typical like, oh, I coin this out on turn 2 and then I buff it on turn 3, and my opponent is really having a hard time. Especially if you give it Divine Shield.
Yes.
I gave this a 6.
Noble Mount is a card. Noble Mount is a card.
This card's not going to make it to the next set without getting touched. Ooh. I'm telling you right now.
It's bold. Damn. I like it. I love Paladin, so if that's the case, I might be pretty happy. I haven't been a huge fan of the Libram stuff, but I like that. I like that bold prediction.
I
throw this in buff Paladin with like Sedan. Oh man, that's gonna be awesome.
It's strong. I definitely think it's strong. Like none of us are rating this low because it looks
no.
Like
I think post rotation, if it's not nerfed, if it turns out to be too strong enough to need a nerf, it's just gonna be a matter of what cards are remaining and because I still think a 3-mana effect with this thing, if they continue to give like a buff card here or there to Paladin, this card will be very strong. It might not be OP levels are strong, but it'll definitely be good. It'll definitely be playable post rotation, and I think, and I wouldn't disagree with Beaker if it did happen. If it ended up being too strong, it's possible. There's a lot of buff cards, and Noble Mount gives Divine Shield.
I'd call this a meta force for sure.
Yeah,
that does it for Paladin though, right? How many other classes we got?
I will just say I didn't rate it that highly. I put a comment in here. I'm giving it a 4 while Libram of Wisdom is still in standard, but honestly, I think it's going to drop to like a 2 after rotation. Because I don't think there's going to be as many buffs, and I don't know how many buffs they're going to do. Yes, I think giving it Divine Shield and playing a spell on it there is fantastic, but I'm not sure if it's going to be that strong. So I'm saying a 4 now.
Do with Paladin, we buff our things.
I think that even just Noble Mount makes this card strong.
But I don't know. I still think that it's a 2 because it's probably only going to go in like a buff Paladin. I don't think it's going to be in every single Paladin deck, which is why I'm giving it a 2.
Definitely. So why don't?
But how many Paladin decks do we run now that aren't considered buff Paladin?
Well, there's every single
only good because Librams.
I mean, now you're just getting into speculation on what like the future sets are going to bring, because we don't know what new archetypes will show up. Like there could be a brand new one that gets pushed that's like Spell Paladin. You don't know.
I just want to go to the next class. I know Ron doesn't, but I
let's see them.
We have Mida, Pure Light, 6 mana minion, 4 attack, 6 health, Divine Shield, Lifesteal with a Death Rattle. Shuffle a fragment into your deck that resummons Mida when drawn. Oh wow. This is a good card. It's a pretty. I don't like that it doesn't have taunt. I will say that. If the card had taunt, it'd be gross. Like another 6-drop to potentially run in Quest Priest. I kind of like. I don't mind it at all.
Where are my Eliks at? I just want lots and lots of shards.
It'd be I know. Well, we still only get 1 with Alec Mount because you would just resummon an Alec.
But... No, he's
not Alec Mount.
The 3/4 Alec that shuffles.
Yeah, you get copies of spells.
Oh, educated Alec.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Nice for sure.
Yeah, I mean this looks strong. I'd give this a 4. You know, just all the keywords and the fact that it's purely unkillable unless you silence it, like and heals you every time it attacks and has Divine Shield. Like that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like a quasi like really slow win con for Priest. So it works with what Priest wants to do. I think it's strong and solid and should be in most Priest decks that care about any kind of board.
Oh, Zarella can shuffle this into your deck as well.
Yeah. To be fair, though, I don't think this works with
this into your deck, but every time, if you've played this and then you've drawn the shard, say 2 more times, and it's died both of those times, it's going to shuffle 3 of these into your deck.
Oh, that's true.
I like this a lot now.
Although it works with Zyrella, but I don't think it works with the that Alec you guys were talking about, because you're not actually playing the spell.
It doesn't work with it because you're not playing it.
Yeah, so that Alec wouldn't copy the spell.
No, there's another Alec that when you shuffle cards into a deck, you shuffle them twice.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it might be in Wild. I don't remember.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar, but maybe it's just not being played.
Standard, so.
I don't know.
Anyways,
pretty good though.
Yeah, good card. We have our next one ready. Next card, Lightmaw Netherdrake, 4 mana, 4/4 Battlecry. If you're holding a Holy and a Shadow spell, deal 3 minion, 3 damage to all other minions. Oh wow! Look, it is a 4 mana Duskbreaker, except it has a maybe slightly more difficult win con to pull off. A more slightly addition to have over what Duskbreaker was. This is gonna be solid. It's anti-aggro tool in Priest, and it slots into 4 mana, which doesn't exactly have that many good cards for Quest Priest.
Might be hard to
Um,
activate this on curve. I'm giving
yeah,
this
I
a
agree. I can
3
see
for
that.
that reason, that Holy and Shadow
Yeah, the Holy and Shadow definitely
is
makes
a
it
pretty
difficult.
major condition, as
Yeah.
opposed to, we just run a dragon-based deck, and Duskbreaker,
Yeah, exactly.
is
That's the
active
thing.
because we have dragons, and that kind of works
Yeah,
well with each other. But this is, you
I'm
want to
not.
run minions and holy spells and shadow spells, and
I
have
mean, the
this
deck already
active
does that.
on turn 4 for a clear
Yeah,
when they're
yeah,
pressuring you. It's a lot.
I can see
Um,
that.
the effect is good. The body is solid. It's probably a decent card, but I don't know if it's, something to get all that wowed over. I think Duskbreaker was better.
Oh yeah, definitely
Yeah.
better because the condition was so easy to do.
I put it as a 3. Same,
Yeah,
like
I agree.
it has a good effect if you can do it. Sure, it's a decent body. Yeah, okay, but it's not like super fantastic. Just okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that they printed a weaker Duskbreaker. If they're gonna
Yeah.
print a Duskbreaker again, it's weaker. Okay, good. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 as well. I think it might be a little bit easier to pull off than we originally
That's
perceived.
my perspective. I think it's easier to do than we might conceive at first, but
Yeah, because
because a lot of times I'm keeping like a shadow spell off the bat, like a palm reading or a thrive, or like
yeah, not only
renew is
that,
also a decent card.
but the palm reading and the thrive also allow you to discover spells. So you might be able to discover the one that you're missing on turn 3 and then proc this on turn 4.
I mean, the ones that allow you to discover also are using said spell school. So if
Mhm.
you use one spell school to discover the other spell school that you're missing, oops, now I use that spell school. I get what you're saying, but I
Yeah,
still think the condition is hard enough that it won't make this card that good.
we have one more priest card. It is Horn of Rathian, a 3-mana spell. Draw a minion. If it's a dragon, summon 2/1 whelps with rush. I don't see it. A lot of priests. Not many priest decks are running dragons, and they're running very few. Like you're not running this in Miracle Priest, and you don't really run dragons in Quest Priest, and Quest Priest already has has so many cards at 3 mana. I don't think this card has a home right now.
Oh, that's a 1. That's a 1 for me.
Yeah, it feels like a hard one. You don't run dragons in Aggro Priest either. You run a pirate in it, but you don't run a dragon.
I don't see a deck where it belongs now
Right
or
now.
post rotation.
Yeah,
But I mean, who knows what comes post rotation? But it doesn't really look very good. Who knows? Maybe there's a deck full of dragons and 2/1 rushers guaranteed on turn 3, and drawing one of your dragons is really, really strong, and you want it. But for now, I don't think that is good enough by a long shot.
Yeah, I gave it a 2. Only because I feel like we're probably going to see a lot more dragons coming up. I think they're printing a lot of these cards with the intention of giving more support later down the line.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 as well. I think there might be some sort of dragon-ish, and I think even if you only have a few dragons, but maybe those, or I mean, honestly, like even just drawing a minion sometimes could be good enough. So if you only have a handful of minions and like half of them are dragons, you're still getting a minion. I don't know. I think there's potential, but I'm still gonna give it a 2. I think you probably do want that upside most of the time, but it might see play.
All right. So we're starting off with Smokescreen. 8 mana. Draw 5 cards, trigger any death rattles drawn. I do not know what to make of this card, honestly. It could be totally insane. It could be complete garbage. You could maybe prep this out and play it earlier. I mean, draw 5 is a lot, but that is a crazy amount of mana to spend for it. I guess you could go like post scabs, like press the button and prep and smoke screen, and you spent 4 on a draw 5, and that's insane. But I'm putting it at a 2. Just I think it's fringe because it just costs too much, and there aren't any good death rattle rogue decks yet. Uh, but it's very possible that this could just go completely nuts. I'm not ruling it out. Weird card.
Yeah, I think that the card is very much gonna depend. Like I can't I'm just gonna say I agree with Ron. I have no clue how this is gonna play. Draw 5 is great. It costs 8 mana though. You know, if it's good, it'll be annoyingly good. But I don't know about that.
No, I'm not sold. I'm giving it a 1 for right now.
Sure.
It's a really high cost draw, and the upside is you are definitely going to have your death rattles in those 5 cards. Like, I think 2, maybe 3 of the 5 having death rattles would be like best case. And just going for that much draw at the end, I don't know if that's what we want.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of like some ridiculous high roll situations, but I think they're just that. They're ridiculous high roll situations and not like, competitively
Viable.
worth running the card. Yeah. All right. Next one. Gotta love the art on this card. It's amazing. SI7 Smuggler. Battlecry, summon a random minion with cost equal to the amount of SI7 cards you've played this game. A 3 mana 1/3. Quest Rogue loves this, just getting another SI card, and this could be a kind of insane late game power spike, kind of on the same level as a charged call for Shaman when they're overloaded a whole bunch. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely don't want to play this in the early game. It's a late game thing, and Quest Rogue is trying to kill you before the payoff in the late game, so it's kind of weird. But on the other hand, it's not bad to just like get an additional SI card that summons you some random value. Like in the mid game, it's probably not bad to get like a random 5 or 6 drop or something, which is probably where it would hit its sweet spot. So I'm giving this a 3 because I think it solidly slots into Quest Rogue. I feel like any other rogue deck that tried to run this would be just insane for running it.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 3. It's basically the same things you said. Like, I think it's fine. Quest Rogue likes this. Even if you can play this on turn 3 to 5 in that mid game, you just get an extra body out of it. Sure, seems all right. Progress your quest, cool. It doesn't seem super OP, but it doesn't seem terrible. So
all right, so 3 mana, Tooth of Nefarian, deal 3 damage, honorable kill, discover a spell from another class. Maybe it sees play just because it's more face damage, and there's a lot of aggressive rogue stuff that maybe just wants even more damage. The honorable kill aspect and discovering a spell from another class, probably not really all that useful. Maybe it could be okay. I'm putting this one at a 2 though, because I think we just have better cards and it just doesn't realistically fill a slot.
Giving it a 2. I don't know. The deal 3 damage to face seems fine, but I don't know if you really want to be paying for free for that. And if you want to be playing this on a minion for the discover a spell from another class, the honorable kill makes it feel too restricted, I feel like. It's just too specific, and I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of 3 health breakpoints, but still, it's just, not great.
So the upside of this card is that you can deal it to a damaged minion, and the downside is that it costs 3 mana.
Yep.
Because
calling it a 2. Next class, let's go.
Because obviously extortion can only go to undamaged minion to undamage things, but this doesn't.
Yeah.
Extortion's also tradable. Yeah. And an SI card. Yeah.
No, definitely. No, I'm just saying the effects. There's just difference in that one effect. Not overall cards. Extortion's insane card. Love it. All right, Shaman.
I'll take Shaman here. We've got Bracing Cold, a 2 mana frost spell. Restore 5 health to your hero. Reduce the cost of a random spell in your hand by 2. I'm gonna give this card a 4. Actually, I really like this, and I think even in like Druid, we've seen this kind of effect with like Lunar Eclipse, right? You're getting some effect and you're discounting basically for the cost of this card, and I feel like that has been fantastic. So the fact that this is not just specific for the turn it's played, you're gonna get one of your spells discounted by 2 for whenever you want to use it, and it seems easy enough to just heal yourself for 5 for 2 mana kind of on any turn. I'll go for this over a hero power. I won't care about a totem. I'll take this.
Yeah, this is huge.
So,
I also agree that this is a 4. Like, I can see a world where we're running this card and we're playing this card on turn 2 or something for 0 healing because we want to bank a discount because mana reduction is insane in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Cheating in this game is what wins you games.
Yes.
So, like, being able to have this hit, a more expensive spell that you're going to use to burn them down, like in Burn Shaman, and your go off turn is even more insane, is absolutely like a very useful thing. And
Agreed.
you also might need that survivability. So the 5 health is pretty relevant against a lot of decks too.
Yeah.
Solid
This
card.
is
Yeah.
So
I give
this
it a 4.
is so good. Like I was even gonna point out, you could just play this card to discount a spell in your hand by 2. This works well this can work well in conjunction with the I don't know how much it costs, but it's the Yeti card. It looks like a Yeti, and it gets +2/+2 whenever you play a Frost spell. That card's really nice. This card plays in with that type of. Can also play in that type of deck.
I forgot that card existed.
Yeah, Earth. It's a rev. I think it's a Revenant card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
By name,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Frost Revenant, I think.
Yeah. Like, it's super good card. Cheating mana, especially Shaman's beginning a lot more reductions.
All I know is when Fish brings up Frost Revenant, we got to move on to the next card.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Solid card.
Next one, classic WoW. Don't stand in the fire. 5 mana fire spell. Deal 10 damage randomly split among all enemy minions. Overload 1. Just to clarify, enemy minions, it does not hit their face. This only hits minions, which, would be pretty great. So just like clear the board and 10 damage to their face. But if there's board, like, this is a decently solid board clear, I feel like. 10 damage, you're by turn 5, you're probably clearing everything or just about everything, and it's only overload 1. I'm okay with this. Probably going to give it like a 3.
The same exact mini set that also printed a mage card that cost 5 that dealt 1 and cleaved and had a super conditional do more damage if you have a lot of spells in hand. Like, this is dramatically better than the mage card and other different classes. It's an overload and everything, but this seems pretty good. Not great because you're still spending a lot of mana to not develop and just to be reactive, but there's a lot of decks that want that. I'd give it a 3 as well.
Yeah, I think 3 is good. I might have leaned more 2 just because I think as my mind is like looking at it, and I'm like, what deck wants this? But maybe Bolner deck might want this. Like, that seems pretty good for a deck.
Well, Quest Shaman's always happy with overload cards.
Yeah, you're right. Quest Shaman wants it. Yeah.
Spirit Mount. Give a minion +1/+2 and spell damage +1. When it dies, summon a Spirit Raptor. Now, this is just like the other mount kind of cards that we've seen in the past. So when it dies, the Spirit Raptor is a 1/2 with spell damage +1. Yeah.
This card's good.
Yeah. I'm okay with it. I don't know where I want to play this right now.
Burn Shaman.
I guess maybe. I haven't played a lot of Burn Shaman, but I'm going to give this a 3. I think it's pretty solid. Cost seems great. And it's going to have to be silenced. Probably. Well, I mean, it's not going to keep happening, but I think it's still good.
Yeah, I like it. It's a solid card.
Mhm.
Giving it a 3 as well because there's just the whole opportunity cost problem. If you're talking about Burn Shaman, like what do you cut in order to fit this card? And currently, I don't think it replaces anything that you want to be already running in Burn Shaman. But it has much more application than just that one limited spot, and it's a lot of stuff for 2 mana, and that's really good. Like you could just have an early game card and then buff it with this, and you're getting extra damage, and it's buffing spell damage too. And when that dies, you get more spell damage still continuing. You can do a lot with that. So I dig it. I think it's a 3.
I think even like at worst, if you had to play this like on a totem, you're probably still okay with that.
Spell damage totem is finally back. Let's go.
Spell damage totem.
Yeah. Exactly.
We always buff the strength totem.
Yes.
Yeah, strength totem becomes Wrath of Air totem. Nice, I love it.
But yeah, also I really love the art on this and the art on the raptor. It's awesome.
Oh
It
yeah,
is good, yeah.
that's cool. All right, first card in Warlock, Curse of Agony. 1 mana shadow spell. Shuffle 3 agonies into the opponent's deck. They deal fatigue damage when drawn. Excuse me? What? This card's really good. I might be wrong, but I feel like making it so your opponent over the game takes 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage in fatigue, like 6 damage, is pretty good, especially for the fact that there's quite a lot of classes that can't just heal. It's at least interesting. It has negative synergy with Altar of Fire, but Altar of Fire, I don't know. I'm always so torn on Altar of Fire.
I mean, if you can play the Altar of Fire first and then play this,
right.
That seems great.
Pretty cool.
I'm giving it a 4. I kind of like this one. I think this is going to be in Quest Lock and even Fatigue Lock for sure. Like, this is... I don't want to play against it, but it's going to be a great card for the deck.
Yeah, this card worries me. I don't know yet if it's good. It feels like reverse garrot for Warlock. It's a very strange thing that's going on here, and you can't control when they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless their deck was burned out, which you also can't really control because you don't have cards that destroyed their deck reliably in a competitive deck anyway, outside of maybe running like double Altar Fire. And I don't know if I want to run double Altar, double Curse of Agony in my Warlock deck to make that support work. So it's weird. It's hard to fit into at least like a current meta Warlock deck, but it seems like it has the potential to be kind of scary and broken. So I'm gonna say 4 because even just slotting it in once for a potential extra 6.
Oh yeah, extra 6, and then it even gets worse if you play 2. It can get worse if they play 2. Interesting.
2 of them goes all the way out to 21 damage.
Yeah,
but that assumes that they actually draw every
all
single
6.
one of them, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
It could be honestly 1 mana do nothing in lots of games, which makes me want to call it a 2 in another
1 mana
sense. This card hurts my brain a little bit.
1 mana make it more difficult for your opponent to find win condition cards because they have to draw more.
All right, surely the next Warlock card is easier to evaluate, right?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, so the next card is Infestation. 6 mana Fel Spell. Summon a 3/3 Dread Imp to attack each enemy minion.
This is pretty nuts.
This is pretty good.
I mean, that's 6 mana demolish a board flood strategy and develop, depending on how weak their wide board might be.
So it summons a imp for each minion?
Yes. So
that's insane.
Imagine if your opponent had 4 Wolpertangers on the board. They would all die, and you would have 4 3/2s.
Yeah, that's what? Oh god. Spreading Plague, but they attack.
And what's really interesting
and
is that There's
If that
a
means anything.
6-mana 3/7 Warlock taunt that came out in the last set
Yeah.
that casts the highest spell from your hand.
Oh my gosh.
So the combo of that, like, I think this is pretty strong.
I think it's
And
strong.
I don't know if Warlock necessarily cares to have like a bunch of 3/3s on the board or use that kind of conditional removal, but the card
Mhm.
itself is pretty nutty. So I'm giving it a 4.
Mhm.
I might have given
The
it a
one
5 if I felt like Warlock wanted to use this more.
Yeah.
I'm only giving it a 2 right now. I'm just not really sure what Warlock wants to be doing with this. I don't know. I'm concerned it's too slow against more aggressive decks, that by the
Yeah.
time you want this to be trading into those smaller minions and killing them off, playing this on turn 6 or
Yeah.
later is a little slow.
Makes
And,
sense.
you know, against decks that have bigger minions, these are attacking in and not killing those minions anyways, so I'm only gonna give it a 2. I don't know. I'm not
Fair enough.
happy
Yeah.
about it.
No, definitely. I can see that. Last card. Spawn of Deathwing. 5 mana, 6 attack, 6 health, dragon, battle cry. Destroy a random enemy minion and discard a random card.
Now, if this was in a different class, this would be the nuts.
Yeah.
Warlock,
Warlock doesn't really
just
need
calling
this
this
much
a 2
removal.
because it goes into a deck that Warlock doesn't have.
I agree. I think I don't. The whole
I mean,
fact that it destroys the enemy.
Zoo is really good, but like random single target removal for Warlock, that's
I don't
just so
like random
weird.
single target remove. There's 5 mana. There's 5 mana targeted. Destroy a random enemy minion. That heals. And I mean, it doesn't have a body, but you're not discarding. You're healing 3.
Yeah, but
This
5
is
mana 6/6. That's
no,
strong.
it's definitely strong.
I just don't think Warlock does enough with it.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we'll see some like lower curve archetype, but even then, yeah, unless you're hitting like maybe exactly Hand of Gul'dan.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
giving it a 2. Kinda, yeah. Same
Okay.
things. Like,
Yeah, interesting
maybe.
card though. I mean, it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
it's just I think Ron kind of put it well.
I mean, this will be great against like a gigantic Ibis. I'm okay with that.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But you gotta be playing it.
Are there any Discover a Dragon Warlock cards that you could use for that specific situation?
I
Just like
no.
revive us. All right, so Shoulder Check, 1 mana tradable, give a minion +2/+1 in rush. I don't know. I'm not impressed. I feel like Warrior has better things. Maybe it's solid because it does have the tradable tag. So if we don't need it, we can always just use it for cycle. But like I don't know. It's just it doesn't wow me at all. I'm giving this a 2. I can see. I don't want to put anything at a 1 for tradable because, like, at the end of the day, I feel like
Yeah.
cycle in and of itself probably is better than just bad. But I don't feel like Warrior really cares about this card.
Yeah, but Warrior already has like 2 playable tradables in Provoke and Heavy Play. Obviously, those are really just set in one archetype, and Shoulder Check might work into another archetype.
Yeah, but right now that archetype would be bad, and in a future set,
Yeah,
it still doesn't look
yeah.
impressive.
That's I don't think that this card is going to see a whole lot right now.
I'm giving it a 3.
So-
I actually kind of like it. I think even playing this on Rattlegore, if it's later game,
sure,
obviously if
yeah.
you're against a slower deck, if you're against a faster deck, you might be dead unless you found all your removal.
I guess it can slot in that way.
Even playing this on, I don't know if there's frenzy minions that don't have rush, but you could give it to a frenzy minion, or like the turtle. That one doesn't have rush. You can play it on that, rush it in, get your armor immediately.
I mean, do we need more like density on this kind of effect? That'd be the only reason I would consider like saying this card is good enough when Provoke already exists. Because Provoke costs 0 and is tradable and does more things. So do we care about the stats? Like they're really small
I don't know.
stat buff, and it's
Mhm.
hit a single target minion instead of
True.
wreck all of the minions on your opponent's board by making them attack your big thing. So like with a Rattlegore provoke is insane. Rattlegore shoulder
Yeah.
check is like, man, I
Like-
wish I had drawn my provoke, but I guess I'll settle
Fair.
for this.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
this is one that's like not great now, but gets better with
Maybe
other stuff in the
Yeah.
future. We'll see. Maybe it's just not that great, but
Mhm.
I kind of like it just initially looking at it.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, hit it very hard. Look at that. 1 mana, gain plus 10 attack and can't attack heroes this turn. I'm very surprised by this card. I don't really know how to evaluate it other than just like on the surface it looks pretty bad. I'm giving it a 1. I'm sure there might be some way to figure out a way to make it really good, but I just don't really see it right now.
I don't see it right
Yep.
now either. You're
Yep. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I don't know. Maybe on some sort of divine shield thing or something that summons a copy when it's damaged, or we don't really have anything like that, but I don't know.
I just
one.
don't see. I feel like because it says can't attack heroes, I'd rather.
You just need to combine it with a way to cheat.
Like, there's a card that already gives. There's a card that gives you 10 armor, and you can just combo that with. And like, if you want to hit a single big minion, you can combo that card. I think it's Frozen Buckler with, or not Frozen Buckler. You know what? It's you gain 10, you lose 5, but you use that with Shield Slam, and it pretty much does the same thing.
Yeah, this is like a terrible replacement for Shield Slam.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to take damage while you do it. And if there's a taunt blocking the minion you want to target, you can't hit it. Like it's real weird. I don't know. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, or a future card that's already planned that's going to make this good, or enable you to cheat the downside part of this and actually go face or something. Onyxian Drake, 4 mana, 4/5, taunt, battle cry, deal damage equal to your armor to an enemy minion. Speaking of Shield Slam, I mean, wow, we just have like a warrior with its 3 cards. 2 of them are quasi Shield Slam in like different ways. It's weird. But this one, like, this is a reasonably solid minion. I don't know if it's something that we want to play. I'm also just going to give this a 2 because, you know, currently if I'm playing a warrior deck, I'm probably playing Vandar and going with charge stuff, and you know, that just seems better. And this minion doesn't quite slot in there, but Shield Slam with a body is not insignificant. It's just, you know, part of what made Shield Slam so good is that it costs 1, so you can do a bunch of stuff or gain armor on that turn and then slam down that 1 mana removal.
Oh, I
And
read
this,
the card wrong.
you can't do that because it costs so much.
I read this card wrong. I read it as to all enemy minions.
Oh, that would be great.
And this is a lot more underwhelming than that. I'm with Rod on this. I think it's probably just a 2.
I'm going with a 3.
I like the idea of this card. I mean, you put that on a.
Okay, going with a 3.
I like the optimism.
We like Yeti bodies. I like it.
Yeah, 4 mana, 4/5. Oh yeah.
It's the taunt too, and it's got a dragon tag. Maybe there's you know something that can make use of that, but
gotcha.
Removing something and putting a taunt in the way seems cool.
Yeah, warrior does like that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we run it in a deck that already has 2 Shield Slams too. You know, just extra effects.
Yeah.
All right. Starting off with Kazakhstan. 8 mana, 8/8 dragon. Battle cry. If all minions in your decks are dragons, craft a custom deck of treasures. Interesting card. I don't know how good. I don't know. I haven't seen treasures, so I can't really say how good it's or bad it's gonna be. But
they're all duels.
But it
duels
seems
cards.
they're duels cards.
Okay. I know, I wasn't sure what those were either.
Duels deck.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm intrigued by this card.
Like-
I don't know how viable it's going to be.
For instance, now this is like the only like biggest payoff card, but there's like the swarm of locusts that
Okay.
summon like a board of 2/2s that you can have attack anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 7 mana, like 14 damage. That can just be,
Gotcha.
face.
Yeah.
For instance. I think this is the coolest card maybe
It's so
ever.
cool.
Like it's insane.
I love it.
Just like make your deck treasures. But
Mhm.
I'm giving it a 3 because I think some decks might be able to use it, but otherwise it's just like new Elysiana. So control decks get to the very end late game because it has been confirmed that the ability is active if you have an empty deck, meaning you run out of cards and you use this minion to replace your deck with
Mhm.
crazy busted cards, probably. But
Mhm.
there aren't really a whole lot of super proactive duels cards that like do a lot on the turn that you play it. And it's real expensive. It comes down late. The game's gonna be ending real soon when you play Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
So like how
Agreed.
are you gonna get to all of those treasures?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not really sure
Unless
how
you just
that.
have a ton of armor, and then aren't you winning already?
Sure, well, probably, yeah. Then this is just
Yeah.
a win more, right?
I guess. Oh, I guess it's like your ultimate win con because you have
Yeah.
to do something at the end. But yeah,
Yep.
Right.
I'm gonna go with you. I think it's a 3 as well. Just it's gonna be really interesting to see. I don't think this is gonna be like main support in every single deck, but it's probably gonna be in a couple.
Interesting card. My most intriguing. I think this is my most intriguing card from the mini set. Just because it's really neat.
oh, he's sweet. We all need to
yeah.
collectively agree to jam all these cards. Just like Kazakhstan in every deck, raid boss in every deck. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna get there next now. Yeah. Next card, Raid Boss Onyxia. I love it. They named the card Raid Boss. 10 mana, 8/8 dragon. Rush. Immune while you control a whelp. There is a battle cry that you summon 6/2/1 whelps with Rush. This card's pretty good. Because the whelps have Rush. And I like that it's Rush immune, so this card can bump into something. So like I think this is cool because say your opponent goes ahead, drops an an X mana 8/8 Divine Shield taunt. You're with a whelp. You're rushing with your immune Onyxia, and you're like, oh wow, I just cleared through a Libram of Hope. Of course, this costs 10 mana, so it's a lot of mana. But all these dragons have cost a lot of mana over time. And it just goes really well in a deck that wants to control board.
True.
Like a heavy control deck, essentially.
If you are still alive by turn 10, to get to play this card is a power spike. If your opponent is trying to kill you with board stuff, but if they were trying to kill you with board stuff, good luck making it to turn 10. So it's iffy. I'm giving it a 3 more because I like it than like what I'm truly being honest about. I probably honestly should have rated this as a 2. But like it's a crazy amount of damage on an empty board for your side. Like it's 20 rush damage. That's a lot. And 8 of that rush damage is immune. And the sticks around is going to be hard to deal with if they can't clear the whelps anytime soon. But they're weak, so they're easily cleared, and then so is this. But it's a cool card.
Yeah, I'm going with a 3 as well. Kind of same things. Like I started at a 4, and that's like, I don't think it's quite that good. And then even sitting on 3, I thought the same thing. Like, maybe this should be a 2. This is going to be really an interesting one to watch. I don't know where it's going to be slotted in. Maybe you can play this in Druid as well. Like, it just feels like Druid's already doing so much big things. I don't know. Be a Vandar deck. I don't know. That's going to be interesting.
Vandar definitely is something we want to be playing in a deck with Raid Boss, probably.
Next card, we got Whelp Bonker. 3 mana, 1/5. Frenzy and Honorable Kill is draw a card. On face value, just the fact of drawing one card is really good. You're surviving damage, you draw a card. And if you can buff in a paladin type deck, you buff this, you take damage and you manage to kill something honorably, well, you're drawn 2. And that's pretty dang good. It depends. I mean, even the fact that it's essentially 3 mana body, the body's not amazing, but the fact that you draw a card with it is solid. A lot of people I've heard a lot of people think this card's going to be think that this card's going to be very solid. I think it's going to be a 3. I think it'll be a strong support card. I don't know. It could be a situation where it just gives some classes that don't normally have a way to draw, but it doesn't have rush, which is pretty notable.
Yeah, I mean, 5 health is tough to kill early.
It is,
so you're
yeah.
probably drawing a card off of this. But 3 mana draw 1 card is not very impressive. And it's somewhat difficult to honorable kill with this as well. So
Yeah.
I'll give it a 3 because I can see it getting buffed and doing some more things that are useful for you, but I don't think it's any kind of meta defining type thing. It's just like, hey, I needed extra draw, so I slotted this in.
Yeah. I think especially after rotation, when we have the least amount of cards, decks that need at least any kind of card draw will probably lean into this.
Oh yeah, post rotation, we're gonna see a lot more bunker. I agree on that.
Yeah,
agreed.
And so I think even right now it might be okay. It might not see as much play right now, but I'm gonna give it a 3 as well. I think it's decent, and I think even just getting 1 card draw is like okay because you still get a body too. I love the artwork too. The whelp is amazing.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's fantastic.
Gear Grubber. 4 mana, 4 attack, 5 health minion. It has taunt. If you end your turn with any unspent mana, reduce this card's cost by 1. So if you leave 1 mana open, you get this card will cost 3 to etc. I don't. There's not many times, especially in the early game, where you're floating mana. Some classes do, but it's not
untapped potential. Is that you? You're back?
I don't know. This card, I guess this, it's like
old Druid quest.
The old Druid quest. I think I think it's just not great. Most decks there's not many decks that take turns without doing this, and even then you're not running a 4 mana 4/5 taunt if you're a class that waits a few turns.
Yeah, so, no, this won't be good for most things. I'm calling this a 2 because there's a chance that there's some slow decks that use this to try and help counter aggro, especially if they got double.
Yeah, makes sense.
Gear Grubbers. Then all of a sudden, they maybe past turn 1, turn 2 they played something small. Maybe on turn 2 they played like a 1/3 that gains them 4 armor.
Sure.
And they float 1 mana, and then they're continually discounting. Then they slam double Gear Grubber to try to lock out your aggro strategy. But usually they'll have better options anyway. So maybe post rotation it's a useful aggro answer or something.
Yeah.
When you can't weave in extra things with your mana, but it doesn't seem all that good.
I'm honestly not even going as high as a 2. I'm giving this one a 1. I'm just calling it at that. I'm like, eh.
I don't think it's good.
I'm not impressed.
Now. Yeah, I'm not super impressed. All good things must come to an end. Last card, Onyxian Warden. It feels like it should be Warden. Anyways, 5 mana, 3/6 dragon. Battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, summon 2/1 whelps with rush.
Yo, raid boss support. Immune forever.
True. I don't know. I mean, we've seen 5 mana, 3/6. If you're holding a dragon cards, at least one of them in Bookworm, and that was destroy a minion instead of summoning a 4/2 with 4/2 body with rushes. I mean, it probably can find a good home. I don't know how good I don't know. Dragon Synergy seems to be all about summoning whelps, so maybe it has a home. If it does, it's a 2. for me because it's not gonna. I don't know if we'll see much play outside of because you need to be running other dragons, and dragons aren't super prevalent right now.
Yeah, I mean, just because the stat line, 6 health is a lot. I'll
It is a
call it
lot.
a 2, but it
Okay.
doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Not impressed
Post
by
nerf
anything
it might
going on here.
post rotation might be okay. I can see it being fine then.
Like maybe if you're doing some hand
Yeah.
buffing and some additional
Yeah.
buffing, and you have a lot of dragons, but even
Sure.
then,
Yeah. I know.
I'm giving it a 3. I actually kind of like it. I think it's decent stats. And it's I feel like there's going to be a dragon deck. I don't know if it's going to be like Paladin or Priest or something, but I think there's going to be a deck that leans into some dragons. And this seems pretty decent there. So I'm going to go optimistic and give it the 3. Oh,
all right.
I don't know.
I mean, like if you're in a heavy board fight, I can see it being a useful thing, especially like turn 4 coining this out and getting 2 rushers to knock down a bigger thing, and then you kind of swing the board in your favor with a hard to remove minion, and then you could buff it on the next turn or something. Things could snowball from there.
I mean, I think even there has potential for it to just be fine, like a tempo play, and just putting out a 3/6 and 2,
a 3/6 on turn 5 and do nothing.
Well, and if you're holding a dragon, you still get the whelps. You just don't have to rush them in.
Straight up tempo play.
Oh, no.
We don't have a dragon, just throw it down.
I mean, like tempo it on turn 5. Like, hopefully you have
and we get the summons.
The dragon.
And
yes.
It doesn't matter if they have board or not because we still summon stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it could still be a pretty good like mid game play, and could start applying pressure on decks that aren't really playing anything on board. So maybe,
reasonable take.
I'm trying to be optimistic because I want the dragons.
The stats are a lot. Like the 1 health on the whelps probably doesn't matter, but the 2 attack does. So we are getting 7 attack and 6 health out of the bargain, kind of split up in a strange way. 7, 8, I suppose.
We also did. Neji couldn't join us tonight, but he did want to say that Onyxia is cool and might be really good in Ramp Druid, and that's all he's got. I love it. But
nice.
Ramp Druid might see some additional cards here, but
I mean, when we're playing Overgrowth and Guff and Bloom and all these other crazy things, why not throw Onyxia into your deck for your 17 mana turn when your opponent has 7 mana or something.
Exactly. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us, and we look forward to getting everyone's thoughts and seeing how everyone is enjoying the mini set after it launches. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining.
Take care, everybody.